There are barriers. They exist in the developed and the developing worlds. The barriers are consistency of rules, standards of products and services, competition issues, the whole business of governance and business regulation, and access to finance, let alone the general legal background for business.
And what I found traveling around the world many times in the developing world countries is that there is first-rate, world-class science done in every single country. What you often lack, however, is critical mass and the ability to commercialize and take that science to market addressing. And I found that not only was there the talent in the developing world, I know from having spent most of my career in Africa and the Middle East that there is plenty of investment capital. The problem is it's not invested in those countries. Rather, it's invested in the Bourse in Paris and the New York Stock Exchange and so on. But entrepreneurs and entrepreneur venture capitalists in the developing world would much rather invest in their own country if it was safe because they know that market. That is their competitive edge. The role of government is not to create wealth. The role of our government is to create an environment in which the entrepreneur can flourish, in which minds can expand, in which technologies can reach new frontiers. And indeed, that formula has been at the policy center of American administrations, whatever their political perspective, for the past 30 years, and explains a great deal about why the American knowledge economy has become the powerhouse that it is today. Numerically, some 24 million entrepreneurs, and that's actually less than 12% of the American adult population. That less than 12% account for half of my country's GDP, and they generate up to 80% of its net new jobs every year. That's actually a 50% increase over 1998 when we began such measurements. Now, of course, there have been dramatic fluctuations over those years. A 20% drop in 2004, a 30% increase in 2005. But measured over time, it's as though the infamous dot-com bubble and burst was a blip on the entrepreneurial landscape. Didn't happen. Qualitatively, I've given you quantitatively, qualitatively, in America, entrepreneurial growth companies generate 2/3 of all innovations and account for 95% of what we call our disruptive or new technologies. Indeed, it's a common practice for large corporations to buy out such companies and then to rebrand those innovations as their own. But remember, that's not where they came from. I would also like to mention the World Bank's doing business. And the good news, and it is good news, is that it's so widely respected that governments have started to consciously adopt policies that give them a higher score in the Doing Business report.
Innovation, however, leads to that, or pushes forward results that actually come out of creations of the human intellect and entrepreneurial effort. Now, in the corporate world in particular, one could say that innovation has a systematic or methodological approach. It's all based on methodology. Companies are forced to churn out innovations in order not to lag behind their competitors. Of course, the voice of the consumer must be heard. The consumer's voice is what actually moves this whole process forward. Each innovation must go through the market test. If a consumer does not want the innovation, it's not of use to consumer, then the consumer doesn't buy it. So it must pass that market test. Well, intellectual property can be considered as the legal set of rules that converts inherently intangible subject matter into private economic goods, which can then be leased and sold and bought, etc., in the marketplace. Now, what are the challenges for enhancing or encouraging innovation entrepreneurship for the developing world? Well, it's creating that enabling environment. It's important that governments put in place policies that would foster, of course, economic, social, and environmental outcomes, but with good, positive outcomes. They need to put policies in place, focus more on targeted necessary industries, policies in place that would foster research and development, enhance research and development, education, and have IP policies that are in synergy with these other policies.
And so I dare to pool all my savings and resources to start my business. I was determined to secure my own future and along with it the future of many other people. Trusting my instinct, I allowed my vision to take shape. I tried to persuade others to share my conviction. Then the people who put their faith in my belief become my team. The small band of courageous young people have gone a long, long way. We built our company Bestware when no one else believed we could. Form a team of just 7 employees. We have grown to an organization of 200 employees. From just 100 distributors to start off, we now have more than 130,000 across our network in 16 countries and regions. In Singapore, we have open business-friendly policy. The bigger challenge for SME in Singapore, apart from limitation on startup capital, is how to raise the image and prestige of their brand name. To unleash the power of an enterprise is not simply about money or status for the entrepreneur. At the end of the day, it is about the livelihood that is rewarding not just for oneself, but for the organization, the community, and the nation. Entrepreneurship brings the joys of creativity and innovation and the sense of accomplishment that you have done your part in helping to create a better world. Thank you.
Albert Einstein, which says that imagination is more important than knowledge.